Have you ever wondered if the you sitting in front of the screen right now is actually a giant lie? The story our brains are best at weaving is continuity. You firmly believe that the you of yesterday, the you of today, and the you of tomorrow are the same continuous living entity. But what if I told you this is just an evolutionary illusion? In fact, that self of your past died completely in the very last second. Naval Ravikant proposed a perspective that is unsettling to many, yet incredibly liberating. Your past is dead. In the physical world, nothing exists except for the here, the now, and this very moment. But why is it that even when we are sitting in a safe room with plenty to eat and wear, there is always a lingering sense of restlessness and unease in our hearts? It is because our brain is a time machine out of control. It spends 99% of its energy living in two ghosts that do not exist, one called the past and the other called the future. You treat the only real now as a stepping stone to the future. You treat your life at this moment as a tool to repay the debts of the past. Anxiety does not exist because your life right now is bad, but because you are trying to control an unpredictable future. Regret does not exist because the past cannot be changed, but because you refuse to accept the reality of what it was. We are dying and being reborn at every moment. But unfortunately, most people choose the very second of their rebirth to immediately pick up that heavy bag of trash filled with the past. Welcome to Wisdom Compound. This is a digital study dedicated to the all-around accumulation of life. We don't talk about shortcuts to success. We only deconstruct the underlying logic of life that can withstand the test of time. If you also want to stand on the shoulders of giants and let your wisdom, wealth, and inner peace compound automatically, please subscribe to our channel. This is a small action, but it could be the starting point of your life's compounding curve. Please also like and share this with a friend you wish to grow with and see freed from internal friction. Today, we entered the 9th episode of our deep dive series on the Almanack of Naval Ravikant. You may have heard the phrase, living in the moment, 1,000 times, but in this episode, I will help you use first principles to thoroughly see through the scam of time. Understanding the principle doesn't mean you can execute it. To ensure you truly master this mental model, please stay until the very end of the video. I have distilled Naval's philosophy into a present moment practice checklist. It is not a vague slogan, but a concrete script that will take you from knowing to doing. Let's first discuss the first truth: why you must completely let go of the past. Naval once said something very powerful. A lot of our misery comes from comparing the past with the present. There's a strange mechanism in our brains that I call mental phantom limb pain. In medicine, there's a phenomenon where some patients lose an arm, yet their brain still feels pain or itching in that non-existent hand. Your regret is the same. A business failure, the end of a relationship, a moment that embarrassed you, those events ended long ago in the physical world, and even the people involved may have vanished. But your brain stubbornly holds on to that signal, replaying the images in your mind, causing you to manufacture real pain in this very second for a non-existent illusion. This is not valuing experience. This is pointless self-harm. Let's go back to first principles. What is time? In physics, besides the increase of entropy in the present, there is no entity called the past. The past is merely a few faint neuronal connections in your cerebral cortex, illusionary memory traces. Naval advocates for no regrets for the past. This isn't about becoming cold-hearted, it's about becoming sober. When you obsess over, "I should have worked harder back then," you are trying to remodel a universe that no longer exists. When you indulge in, "if only I hadn't missed that person," you are using a dead phantom to strangle the living self of right now. You, at this very second, have the absolute right and the ability to completely sever ties with the loser or victim of the previous second. Whether you choose to continue maintaining that painful self-identity or choose to forget and start anew, the power of decision is always in your hands. If you cannot learn to forget, you can never truly own the now. Since the past is already dead, why can't we stop? Why is it that while our bodies are lying in a comfortable bed, our brains feel like they are charging through a battlefield? Naval provides a very vivid metaphor in the book. He says the mind is a monkey hopping around the room, shouting, throwing things, breaking things, throwing feces and making a mess. It is completely out of control, like a madman running wild. This is what we call the mind monkey. We must first understand this through first principles. Why does our brain treat us this way? From the perspective of evolutionary biology, your brain was not designed to make you happy, it was designed to make you survive. In a primitive jungle, a monkey that only knew how to appreciate the beauty of the present sunset would quickly be eaten by a tiger. Only the monkey that constantly remembered where the snakes were yesterday, regretting the past, and predicted where there might not be water tomorrow, anxiety about the future, could survive and pass its genes to us. Therefore, anxiety is actually a default setting of the brain machine. Naval observed a modern tragedy. At any given time, only a tiny sliver of the brain is focused on the present. The vast majority of its energy is spent planning the future or regretting the past. This mode of operation is useful for solving complex logical problems, but when it comes to seeking inner peace, it is your greatest enemy. I want you to imagine a scene. You bought a top-tier racing car with a powerful engine, but the person in the driver's seat isn't you. It's an extremely restless, screaming, crazy monkey. This monkey is constantly slamming on the gas, that's your anxiety, and suddenly pulling the handbrake, that's your regret. You are sitting in the passenger seat, dizzy from the chaos, yet you mistakenly believe that you are that monkey. Naval reminds us that the first step to liberation is not to kill the monkey, because that is your biological instinct. You cannot kill it. The key to liberation is realizing that you are not the monkey, you are the observer. In the book, he shares a geek-style method for self-cultivation called opening the brain's debug mode. Anytime you feel restless, try to examine the thoughts in your brain as if they were computer code. Watch the windows popping up, watch the crazy monkey performing, and then calmly ask yourself, do I really need to solve this problem right now? You will be surprised to find that 95% of what your brain thinks about is actually unnecessary noise. They are just the survival machine idling aimlessly. When you learn to watch this monkey as an observer, it will actually start to quiet down. Because what the monkey fears most is not being attacked, but being seen through. At this point, many people ask, what does so-called peace or enlightenment actually feel like? Do you have to sit on a mountaintop for 30 years like a monk? Naval cites a minimalist viewpoint from Eckhart Tolle. Enlightenment is the space between your thoughts. This sounds esoteric, but it is essentially very scientific. Enlightenment doesn't require miracles or supernatural powers. It refers to a state that can be reached at any moment, the instant when your brain pauses the eruption of thoughts. Naval's definition of happiness is very counterintuitive. We usually think happiness is getting what we want, but Naval believes happiness is a state where nothing is missing. When you remove the sense of lack from your life, happiness naturally emerges. To help you understand, let me use another modern metaphor. Our brain is like an inbox filled with tens of thousands of unread emails. Some of these emails are fears left over from childhood, some are vain desires for the future, and some are unresolved social anxieties. This machine reminds you every second, you still have things to finish, you aren't good enough, you lack this, you lack that. This continuous sense of lack is the source of all your suffering. Naval believes that the essence of meditation or living in the moment is actually the process of reaching inbox zero. When you quiet your mind and don't fight your thoughts, but just watch them, these emails get processed one by one. He writes in the book, "When you feel that nothing is missing in your life, the brain goes into a dormant state. It no longer chases yesterday, nor does it fantasize about tomorrow. In those brief moments without a sense of lack, your heart will be at peace." In the moment your inbox finally reaches zero, you will find that the brain stops its endless chatter. At that moment, your heart will feel an ultimate, perhaps even divine serenity. This is why Naval says, a happy person isn't someone who is happy all the time. A happy person is someone who can easily interpret events in a specific way and maintain inner peace. Happiness is not about chasing a better future. It's about realizing that in this very second, you actually lack nothing. This reminds me of the famous quote from the Iliad that Naval once pondered. "Everything is more beautiful because we are doomed. You will never be lovelier than you are now. We will never be here again." Because life will eventually return to heat death, because we will eventually die, this single breath of fresh air and this quiet moment of time become incredibly precious and sacred. If you are always thinking about the next thing, you are strangling the life out of this very second. We have discussed a lot of philosophy, and you might understand the principles, but that crazy monkey in your brain is likely still restless. Naval is never just a philosopher, he's an ultimate man of action. To help you move from knowing to truly doing, please begin executing this 7-day presence protocol. Step 1. Enable your brain's debug mode. When you find yourself showering, brushing your teeth, or walking, and your mind starts auto-playing tomorrow's meeting or replaying yesterday's argument, hit the pause button immediately. Examine the thought as if it were computer code. Watch the monkey's performance, and then calmly ask yourself, do I really need to solve this problem right now? You will find that 95% of brain activity is pointless idling. Command the machine to stand by and bring your focus back to the sensation of the toothbrush touching your teeth. Step 2. Practice choiceless awareness. Give yourself 10 to 15 minutes of walking time every day. It is strictly forbidden to carry a phone or listen to music or podcasts. You do only one thing: completely accept everything you see and practice non-judgment. If you see someone on the street, do not judge. If you see gloomy weather, do not complain. Simply observe things as they are, without labeling them as good or bad. When you stop judging the world, your ego shrinks, and the world stops putting pressure on you. Step 3. Consciously shorten your acceptance reaction time. Bad things will happen: missing a bus, being late for a meeting, or a failed investment. At the moment negative emotions rise, force yourself to play a game. Is there anything positive about this? If you're late for a meeting, the upside is extra time to watch the clouds. Naval's goal is to shorten the time it takes to find the positive from days to minutes, and finally to less than a second. The faster you accept reality, the shorter the duration of your suffering. Step 4. Try inbox zero meditation. Every morning, give yourself an hour to just sit, close your eyes, and do nothing. Let thoughts erupt from your mind, neither fighting nor indulging them. You are processing the spam emails accumulated throughout your life. Once you clear these burdens of the past, your brain will enter an unprecedented state of clarity. Most of us spend our lives living in a giant lie. We are always fantasizing about a mysterious moment in the future, once we have earned enough money, once we have found the perfect partner, once we have solved all our thorny troubles, then we can start really living. But Naval cruelly reminds us that perfect future will never arrive, because when that future lands, it still becomes another now. If you don't learn to be happy now, you will never be happy. Please remember, you will never be lovelier than you are now, and we will never be here again. The reason humans have anxiety and regret is that we try to pursue eternity within a finite life. But true wisdom is accepting the reality that we are doomed. You are dying and being reborn at every moment. If you can let go of your attachment to the past and your fantasies about the future, you will realize that here, now, and this moment are actually already the best arrangements. When you stop demanding more from life, life will instead return to you everything you deserve. This is Wisdom Compound, a channel dedicated to the accumulation of life's wealth. In the next episode, we will reach the series finale and explore the ultimate question. If everything eventually returns to nothingness, how should we define the meaning of life? May wisdom be with you. See you in the next episode.